What up, gamers? Today we're going to talk about the mod Oppressive Darkness that you can find on the last column of the Season of Arrival's artifact. Now, the last time we saw this mod was during the Season of Undying back when Shadowkeep came out, and this great mod has finally made its way back in the lineup. So we're going to test this bad boy out and compare it with other debuffs in Destiny 2 to see just how it stacks up. Plus, I'll run through some options for each class that you could run to proc this mod as often as possible. But without further ado, let's get into it. So once you unlock this mod within the artifact, it requires 6 energy levels to equip, and can only be equipped on your cloak, bond, or mark depending on what class you're running. As stated on the mod, causing damage with a void grenade adds a weakening effect to combatants. And through testing, I calculated that the weakened effect will allow you to do an additional 23% damage to any affected targets. Also, because this is a grenade, no matter which void grenade you use, the effect will last a total of 4 seconds. Now, I did cover some builds where you can utilize the Season of Dawn mod Firepower, which returns grenade energy as you are charged with light. But there are also some specific void subclasses that work best with each class to gain grenade energy back as well. So if you want to check that out, the video is down in the description box below, which will specifically focus on the Titan but does branch out into the Warlock and Hunter suggestions as well. Honestly though, Warlocks have it made for getting void grenades back quickly, especially the top tree void subclass while utilizing the CONTRAVERSE hold exotics. As long as you are damaging an enemy with an overcharged grenade, you'll fully replenish your grenade energy, which basically allows you to throw a grenade every 4 seconds if not more often, depending on how many enemies you hit or take down with said grenade. But regardless of how you utilize your gear, I wanted to compare Oppressive Darkness with other debuffs within the game. So in these tests I compared Oppressive Darkness with Divinity and Tractor Cannon, since both of these weapons apply a weakened effect to their targets. I also included Hammer Strike and Shadowshot in the mix, as these two abilities from the Titan and the Hunter both add a weakened effect. And for the last 3 I tested, I included Guiding Flame from the Warlock melee, Weapons of Light from the Bubble Titan, and Well of Radiance from the Mid-Tree Solar Warlock. Now, as you already guessed, these last 3 aren't debuffs, but they do allow you to do increased damage against any targets you fire on. So after testing, I learned a few things that I definitely wanted to share with the community because some of you may have not known this. Through testing, I discovered that no matter which weapon or ability you utilized, if it states that it applies a weakened effect, it's going to apply the same debuff. Meaning that whether you use the Divinity, Tractor Cannon, Hammer Strike, Shadowshot, or Oppressive Darkness, these are all going to allow you to do an additional 23% damage to the targets affected. The only difference is the duration of each one of these weakened effects. Tractor and Hammer Strike will each last the longest at 10 seconds, followed by Shadowshot, which will last a total of 8 seconds. Then Oppressive Darkness, where your grenade or grenade effect will last only 4 seconds. Now with Divinity, it all depends on how long the beam is on the target, but if you were running it solo for some reason, the weakened effect will last only a second after switching weapons to utilize the debuff. Since Guiding Flame, Weapons of Light, and Well of Radiance that we also test are damage buffs, they work a little differently. Guiding Flame from the Warlock melee, which empowers you, provide an additional 17% damage and lasts for a total of 6 seconds for you and your nearby affected allies. Weapons of Light from the Titan bubble grants anyone who passes through it a 26% increase in damage to targets, which makes it the highest damage output compared to the other buffs and debuffs. It also lasts for 15 seconds if you only pass through the bubble once, but if you continuously pass through the bubble, Weapons of Light will reproc on your characters, so potentially you could push it to the full 30 seconds if timed properly. Well of Radiance is very similar, except you must always be standing within the well to get all the buffs it grants you, but it will provide you with a damage increase of 20%, and the well will last up to 30 seconds, same as the Titan bubble. So from the chart on the screen, you can see how all the buffs and debuffs compare to one another. As I stated before, and from what you can see in the table, all the weakened effect debuffs offer up the same 23% additional damage. The only difference is the duration and how each of them are procced. When testing this, I also wanted to know what stacks up with one another. Well, it turns out that anything that offers up a weakened debuff on an enemy, they will not stack up with one another. As you can see in our next table, when combining Oppressive Darkness with other weakening debuffs, they will still only offer up the same damage increase and not stack up on top of one another. So if you were going to utilize multiple debuffs such as Oppressive Darkness and Shadowshot from the Hunter, you would utilize them separately to maintain that additional 23% damage increase over a longer period of time. And this also applies to when running with a fire team with multiple debuffs as well. But just know that any weakened effect does stack with a damage buff that you can acquire from Guiding Flame, Weapons of Light, or the Well of Radiance. So as you can see in the chart, if we stack Well, Bubble, or Guiding Flame, we can jump from 26% to 43% with Weapons of Light and Oppressive Darkness combined, 20% to 38% when combining Well with an Oppressive Grenade, and last pushing Guiding Flame from 17% up to 36% when combining it with Oppressive Darkness. So yeah, if you want to stack on that extra crispy damage, be sure you're combining your Oppressive Darkness grenades with other damage buffs available to you. And now that you also know that weakened effects don't stack up, be sure you are staggering each effect, especially when in a fire team each running weakening effect abilities, weapons, or grenades. This way you can maintain that 23% additional damage over a longer period of time than just the 4 seconds that you'll acquire from a single grenade. But that's it for today, gamers. Just wanted to share this data with the community so that more of you are utilizing Oppressive Darkness and any other weakening effects properly within the Destiny universe. Any questions, comments, or other tests you would like to see, drop them down in the comments section below. But as usual, if you enjoyed the content, drop this video a like and tap fire subscribe for more on Destiny 2. Until next time, gamers, this is Sir Mab, signing off.